Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. The Outdoor Adventure Series celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. In this episode, we continue our celebration of the National Marine Sanctuary's 50 years of ocean conservation and stewardship. Our guest today on the Outdoor Adventure Series is Ed Lyman. Ed is a natural resource specialist and regional large whale entanglement response coordinator at the NOAA Hawaiian Islands Humpback National Marine Sanctuary. He works closely with NOAA Fisheries under their Marine Mammal Health and Stranding Response Program and many other partners. Now, for more than 25 years, Ed has worked with NOAA, state agencies, and others to better understand the animals and to address the threats that impact them, especially ship strikes and entanglements. Ed leads the sanctuary's long-term health and risk assessment program that monitors the risk to and health of humpback whales within the sanctuary and nearby waters. Ed, it is a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, and man, you have got the most unbelievable job I think I've heard so far.
Well, thanks, Howard. And it's an honor being here and chatting with you and your audience. So thank you for that. Mahalo to the state of Hawaii.
Mahalo. It's a pleasure, and I feel like I have to do this as well. I have a friend from my leadership coaching realm, Makana, and she's somewhere there. I'll have to share this episode with her. So you are in the beautiful state of Hawaii.
Yes.
And where specifically are you located?
I'm on the island of Maui. It's the sanctuaries, the Hawaiian Islands Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary's main headquarters, main site. And by the way, it's where the highest density of whales are. So it's a good spot to be if you're going to be studying them and responding to them.
Okay. All right. Now, I have to admit, and I think I admitted this to John, outside of the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, I've never seen a whale. And I am like so going to take care of this. It's next year at this time, I'm going to say, I've seen a whale. Before we kind of dive into this world that you are in right now, which again, amazing. I can't believe you get to the work that you're doing to help these wonderful animals. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get to this spot?
Yeah. I didn't plan on it. It was very circuitous route, if you will.
Okay.
And I know I was going to be a medical doctor. I went to school, college, and got the degrees and then started working at the hospitals, like an internship.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't quite the right fit. Something was just off there, but it was close. It was close.
Okay.
Went back and got a master's degree, went back to college and started getting involved in a marine program with Cornell University and University of New Hampshire. I was working at a marine lab, got immersed there. A lot of great people out there at the Shoals Marine Lab. I got bit by the bug there, and then went off and started working with, I kind of knew I wanted to work with whales, kind of put myself in that environment. And then the organization that I started working with to put me in that environment was the Center for Coastal Studies out on Cape Cod, whale research, whale response organization, nonprofit. And they were just starting to free whales themselves. We're going to talk about cutting whales free. And I got pulled into that,
Right.
Howard. I didn't plan on it. Just one day they said, we need help. And
Right.
give the helm to someone else and jump in the inflatable with us. And that's the beginning.
Okay. When you were growing up, had you had experience as a scuba diver, being in the water? I mean, what was it about the whales that really kind of pulled you in, so to speak? Were they one and the same because of diving, or where did this kind of develop for you?
Yeah, well, it actually started, that change in my path when I was working at the Marine Lab. That's where indeed I learned how to dive. That's where I saw really my first whales, at least close up. And it's just their size and just having an animal that size. They are indeed, we hear this, the charismatic megafauna. And there's a lot of an emotion there in seeing such an animal. out in their environment. So, and I admit it kind of pulled me in. It got my interest. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you kind of navigate to eventually, here's the NOAA Office of National Marine Sanctuaries?
Understood. Yeah, it's its own little story in itself. So I was back east in New England working at that nonprofit, the Center for Coastal Studies on Cape Cod. And there was two pioneers at the time, Dr. Story Mayo, Dave Matilla, who had started cutting whales free. And so I'm their first apprentice, as mentioned. And David went on to become the Hawaiian Islands Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary's first research coordinator. And when he got that position,
Mhm.
he ended up hurting himself a little bit, but he needed help. We're going to want to talk about how the importance of a team effort. And he asked me to come out and help
Right.
him. Yep. So that's how I got started
Okay.
with the sanctuaries. Was that request of
Okay.
Ed, come be part of the team here in Hawaii.
Okay. So perhaps this will be a good segue to the team aspect, but you use the word apprentice. When I think of apprentice, I think a tradesman, and I'm going to teach you how to be a plumber, an electrician, a how to do wind farms, whatever this might be. How does one begin to apprentice as a whale disentanglement professional?
Right. No, it's an excellent question. It's been a challenging one for us. I mean, there are apprenticeship
Yeah.
programs out there. I know we at the
Uh-huh.
Humpback Whale Sanctuary, I'll be short here now, but the Humpback Whale Sanctuary have
Right.
done some and back east with the Center for Coastal Studies. But the other means is just if you have the appropriate skill set, like a fisherman knows gear, a whale biologist knows the whales, you bring those type of people
Hmm.
together, and this is just an example, and have them support and help, have the opportunities to help those that have more experience, that have already gained that experience, work together as a team. And then little by little, along with the opportunities to actually free a whale that come along and
Hmm.
trainings that you might do, we do trainings all the time. Okay. So there's opportunities there,
Really?
and it's a slow process. I tell the people that I train, it's not something you do overnight. It's going to take years to build up a little bit of experience here to a point where you'll feel comfortable maybe leading that effort. And so this is a national program, I should mention, Howard. It's not just at the Humpback Whale Sanctuary, not just in
Really?
Hawaii, but it's national, global in many ways.
I'm curious, what did it feel like for you the first time you were in the water and actively participating in the disentanglement?
Wow. I mean, well, first, it's all boat based. So there is no on water. And that's a common thought from people is they think you're going to don the dive
Oh,
gear, jump in
oh,
the water. And it doesn't actually work very well, by the way,
okay.
Howard. I should say
Oh,
that.
okay.
And it's not allowed, by the way.
Okay.
There are authorizations or permits just to
Okay.
keep the animals safe, keep us safe, and the human side. But it's all boat based. And I remember the first time I think I was with Dr. Story Mayo. We were cutting a right whale free, a North Atlantic right whale. So they're a rare species, and it was entangled. I think it was like a subadult. And I just was enthralled. I mean, again, think about that. I think even a subadult, I think it was like 38 feet, 40 feet long. It was up towards that length. And we had it beside the
Mhm.
inflatable boat we're working on. And I think we had a tuna spotter, a plane was flying above us, helping us out. Instead of spotting bluefin tuna, we talk about team effort. He came over and was spotting the whale below the surface. And I had a radio to my ear. I was at the helm. And he was telling me, Ed, you gotta go faster, go to your right, go to your right, go, slow down, slow down, slow down. And the whale will come up right on the left side of the boat, the port side of the boat. And that was my first experience working with an entangled whale. It was again, a right whale.
Mhm. So what is the process that you would go into to prepare to disentangle this whale? I look at it as a kind of a project in a way. Somebody notifies you, I could be wrong, that there's a whale out here that's having trouble. And then what happens? Walk us through that process if you wouldn't
Okay.
mind.
Yeah. Another good question. No, a lot of times it's the on-water community that is, I call them the foundation of the effort. They they will
Hmm.
start the process. I mean, someone like myself and others that have the training, we're not going to cut a whale free unless we hear about someone's going to find the whale. And then they got to call us. There's hotlines around the country. Call the hotline. Don't engage the animal by yourself. Then they do. The community does. Then they can give us some initial assessment. They're, in a sense, first responders. So they're giving us initial assessment, calling the hotline, maybe on the VHF radio, whatever. And then if we're going to be able to respond, we can't always respond, but if we can, standing by, monitoring the animal, we don't lose it. It's funny, a 45-foot whale ends up being a very large needle in a very large or larger haystack, the oceans. And then with that response side, for us, we have our response boat already kind of loaded, which is turnkey. So we get that call, I'm texting the team and saying, whoever get that boat in 20 minutes, and I'm filling in roles. I need a captain, I need disentanglers, I need supporters, documenters. We all run for that boat. And a lot of times we're out there meeting the support team, the people that have reported and monitor the animal within about an hour and a half, which is good. Okay. Not as fast as the U.S. Coast Guard. And then we're going to do some more assessment. Right. Really, it's risk assessment. So there's an analogy to be made here, Howard. The whales are patient. And unfortunately, they can't tell us what's wrong. So we've got to assess them, figure out how they're entangled. In this case, we're talking about entanglement, what knife we'll use. And essentially, we need to gain access to our patient. And they may not realize that you're the doctor, so to speak, in our analogy. And so we'll use an old whaling technique